Hey everybody, I'm Zach.
I'm Jesse.
And you're watching the Patreon bonus stories. This first one is a story out of Missouri about, well, you'll figure it out.
Right. Well, a pricey sports car in Missouri is now just a charred frame after it went up in flames. Take a look at some cell phone video here. You can see an admirer recording a red Ferrari and a blue Lamborghini at a gas station. Pretty cool, huh? Well, just minutes later, a driver of a van on the other side of the pump takes off with the gas pump still hooked into the van.
Ooh.
Oof. The pump is then ripped out, spewing gas everywhere, including the blue Lamborghini. You can hear Dave.
He's crying over there. Dave
over there
needs
in the
a counselor
corner,
right now.
which goes up in flames along with the column housing the gas. Witnesses were in absolute shock.
I've seen people drive away from pumps and make mistakes, but never seen anything to that extent with that much money just being destroyed.
Thankfully, no one got hurt, and the red Ferrari only was covered in ash. But Dave is still crying.
So, first of all, there's a lot of laughing going on in that studio.
Right.
Oh, that's so funny.
Oh, ho, ho.
Hope it wasn't a family in the minivan that burned to death.
Right. Like, aren't we lucky that this guy had a really big midlife crisis and decided to buy a Lamborghini?
And that no one was in any of the cars.
Right. That it wasn't like, oh, and it was a minivan and there was a baby in it.
And that it didn't spray gasoline onto people walking by.
Right. It was lucky that we got away with just burning a Lamborghini.
And you know what? This only made the news because there was a Lamborghini and a Ferrari in the picture.
Right.
Other than that, if this had been a couple minivans and a Toyota Corolla,
right,
this wouldn't have been a news story.
No. I mean, that's the only reason is they got to show off a Lambo. How cool.
Yeah. Every single, I mean, we have fires all the time throughout the world because of gasoline, and it's just a joke now. It's just a like, oh, it doesn't even...
that car burned to a complete husk, an unusable piece of crap that someone spent hundreds of thousands of dollars on. I mean, like...
How easy is it to drive away and pull the hose out? They have so many different safety features, and this is an up-to-date, I can tell by looking at it, it's an up-to-date gas pump, and it still didn't work.
Right. I mean, the Teslas. Let's just talk about this. Actually, not just Tesla, but even my Leaf. You can't pull away if you're plugged in.
Right.
How hard was that to implement?
Yeah, I want to point out that's a wonderful thing because I would have pulled away from my house a couple of times probably with it still plugged in.
Definitely. There has been times where I've been like, all right, put it in reverse. Why is my car not in reverse? And it's like, you haven't unplugged your car. Right. Oh, thank you very much. But like, yeah.
And your charging port's right in the front where you can see it.
Exactly. Like, I have no excuse whatsoever.
Right.
But yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, this happens all the time. We don't hear about it unless it's a Lamborghini. No. You don't hear about it if it's a mother and her children.
And I mean, this is because our patron Tom pointed it out to us. Otherwise, we wouldn't have heard about it.
Right, because it's not even that interesting because it happens so frequently, and that's why I'm so mad.
I know.
I'm so mad that, all of these cars get to have a free pass. Oh, did you go to the station where you fill up on dangerous explosive liquid? Oh, I did go today.
Well, imagine if Tesla came out with this new product. It was a car where you had to fill it with dangerous explosive.
Right. Oh, it'll give you cancer for sure.
It'll pollute the environment,
and we'll
have to go to war to get the materials for it. And we have to pump it through pipelines where there'll be spills.
Right. And if it's a cold day and you get in your car and then you build up a static electricity and then you walk over to the pump and then you touch the pump without discharging yourself somewhere else,
it'll explode.
You'll just light on fire. You'll just light on fire. Oh, it's fine. Don't worry about it.
It's a great new product.
It's a great new product that we came up with.
Right. You would never stand for it if it just came out.
No.
You would never stand for it.
It's
just you're so used to it, America and world.
Right. It's like, oh, I'm just so used to...
But you know what? You patrons get it. I'm not. I'm sorry. You know this. Let's move on.
Yeah.
All right. So Ariana Huffington, she just wrote a letter, an open letter to Elon, and we're going to print it here so that you can kind of read it as we scroll. You can slow it down, whatever. I don't have time to read it all. But basically what she's saying is, in her tweet, she kind of sums it up. Please change the way you work to be more in line with the science around how humans are most effective. You need it. Tesla needs it. And the world needs it. Elon tweeted back, Ford and Tesla are the only two American car companies to avoid bankruptcy. I just got home from the factory. You think this is an option? It is not. So I kind of wanted to talk about this because I really, at first I thought Ariana, from the headlines, I thought Ariana was like just poking at Elon. When you read the article, you see that she really does care. She loves the guy. She obviously is close enough to him that he's shared photos of his family with her. And she speaks very highly of him. She's only asking that he gets his sleep, that he takes care of himself, that he relaxes, because that's how all humans need. They need that for their creativity. You have, I think, a slightly different take.
Yeah. So Elon has been working himself. I wouldn't say this hard, but he works himself very hard, and he has done this throughout his life.
Oh, yeah.
Basically. And I think that, you know, the science that Arianna Huffington is talking about is, you know, you take the average of humans, like how much average humans need for sleep and how much they need for relaxation. And I'm not saying that Elon is being super healthy with what he's doing, but I think that this is what he kind of must do, or at least he thinks that he must do, in order for Tesla to remain solvent and remain a company that's functioning properly.
Yes, I'm not disagreeing with that, but I do disagree. There's science to human bodies, okay? And your body, I mean, I don't think we all realize much about how the brain works. The brain, the reason you go to sleep is you are flushing your brain of waste that needs to be flushed of, or you will die. I mean, you can actually die if you don't get enough sleep. And he's showing it. Like, it'd be one thing if he was just like, wow, he never shows it that he needs sleep. When he's tired, you can tell. He speaks differently. I mean, I've watched every speech he's ever made practically. I know how he is. When he was with MKHB, he was tired.
Yes, and I mean, I think right now he is working 120-hour work weeks, and I think that is too much.
And that's what she's saying. She's not saying like go be a slouch, Elon. She's saying take care of yourself, and you'll actually end up doing a better job for your company and for your family and your creativity, everything. And I think she's right. I think that this tweet to her, he should have first of all said thank you, like thank you for caring about me.
I suppose so. Yeah.
His tweet back shows that I think he's just always hyper, like, we have to do this, we have to do this. And I think he's got to learn when to just, for instance, there's going to be this short crap for the next couple of weeks or months. Take a vacation. Let them shoot their best shots at you. Let them drive that stock price down. Go ahead. I mean, it's going to happen anyway. He's not going to be able to stop it. So take a break and be seen like just relaxing if you want, or just go out of the media's attention for a little while. Relax, be with your kids.
I guess he feels like he can't do that. I think that if he's
he
spotted at a beach on, you know, Boca Raton or whatever, that they're going to be like, Elon's seen relaxing at Boca Raton instead of working diligently on his factory.
They're going to spin it no matter what he does. So I'm just saying, since that's going to happen, just get a little more sleep. You can still work crazy hours, you can whatever, but you know, be with your kids and get your sleep. You will feel better. You will act better. That's all I'm saying. I think that's all Arianna's saying.
I mean, I think what Elon needs is like a couple people to be his right and left hands.
I totally agree.
It seems like he hasn't ever had that. He has that at SpaceX.
Well, he had that with his brother back when they worked together. I mean, he had a right-hand man, literally, you know, and I agree with you. He's got that at SpaceX.
Right.
And that's the perfect model. He needs that now. He needs someone strong. And I don't think he's going to be able to find it in a want ad. I think that some people are going to have to approach his friends and approach him and say, like, this person is the right person.
Right. And, I mean, it might need to be multiple people. It sounds like, you know, I think SpaceX is a smaller company than Tesla.
Not that much.
In terms of people.
In terms of people.
Not, you know, obviously not in terms of other things, but in terms of people, you know, you don't need quite as many things. And they're ultra focused on one thing, and you know, production is not really
they're out of the public eye, and that makes a huge, because when you make a move with SpaceX, nobody knows what that move is.
I think you're right. I think that it's sort of like, oh, hey everyone, guess what we were working on? We came up with a rough design for the BFR. Check it out. We're gonna make life interplanetary, and everyone can be like, oh my gosh, that's so cool. And we didn't know that was happening necessarily. We had maybe some vague notions based on some speeches that he gave or some talks that he was at. But like the Model 3, we knew was going to happen for years before it happened, right? We knew it was coming. We didn't know what it would look like. We didn't know all the specs, but we had a pretty good idea. You know, in my mind, I couldn't have pictured it being as amazing as it is. But, I mean,
well, I think there's two other things in Elon's life. I mean, he did not have a close connection with his father. He wanted to, but he didn't. This is a common thing with many CEOs. They have a problem with the parents, and that's what exists with Elon. And I think he always wanted to impress his father, and his father was never impressed with him. And I think he's striving to this day to impress this imaginary father who's not going to be impressed with him. He needs someone in his life who he can impress and say, you did a good job today, Elon. Go to bed. You can go to bed now and have a good night's sleep because you did your best today. And I don't think anyone in his life tells him that.
Probably not. And I mean, you need to respect the people who tell you that.
Right. And I think that, unfortunately, he's around a lot of yes people. I mean, you can't be around a billionaire, I guess, without being like, yes, Elon.
Right.
I think he needs some people who can stand up to him and go, no, go to bed.
Probably. Yeah. I mean,
I think that's one big piece of it. I think the other piece of it, he was bullied in his life, so he really does care about what other people think. And so when he's on Twitter, he actually is listening. That's why he responds so well to customers, because they're like, can you do this, Elon? He's like, okay. He wants to please people. And I think he should dial that down. I think he should be like, I can't please everybody here. I got to focus on what I got to focus on, which he's really good at doing at SpaceX, because no one's tweeting him as much at SpaceX because they don't know what he's doing.
and you can't ask for a feature in a rocket. You can't be like, hey, Elon, can there be streaming in the rocket? Like, no one's going to ask him that.
Right.
That's a good point.
So, and I just think there's a lot of, everyone's unhappy with their car always. It's like, oh, can it do this faster? It's like, you know what? Just be happy with what you got, dude.
Right. Most cars are not anywhere near as mind-bogglingly perfect.
And that's why he needs a number two, who's like, takes his phone and is like, go do the stuff with your kids. I'll take care of the tweets,
Right. I know. I think that you're right. I think that...
So we need to find him that person. And first of all, I mean, yes, he needs a number two at Tesla, but he also needs a chief of staff and a support group around him that do the work. And that's, I mean, let's talk about presidents for a second.
Yeah.
We've kind of gotten presidents figured out, right? We know how that should work. And presidents have a cabinet, and they have trusted advisors, and they've got a chief of staff. And that chief of staff, nothing happens without going through that chief of staff. Nothing. So that works, that system. You need a strong chief of staff. And if you watch presidencies, when their chief of staff isn't working right, nothing's working right. So, yeah, I think you need someone like Rahm Emanuel from Chicago, the mayor of Chicago, someone who was a chief of staff for President Obama and knows how that works. I think he'd be a great right-hand man. In fact, I was really excited to see them together in Chicago during the Boring launch. Someone like that is who he needs.
Right. I mean, we do have J.B. Strobel and Franz, but I don't think that they fit those categories.
No, they're perfect at what they do. They're smart people, wonderful designers, and scientifically minded, but they're not chief of staffs.
Right.
No.
So, I mean, I think that that's really the thing that he's missing.
Yeah. He needs Gwynne Shotwell.
The clone.
The clone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And, I mean, a lot of people are like, oh, just have Gwynne Shotwell move over to Tesla. No.
We need her at SpaceX.
Yeah. Let's...
that works perfectly.
Let's get off this rock, please.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you so much, guys.
Thank you so much. It's so nice to talk to you guys.
Because we have been going through a lot of this FUD depression.
It's awful.
It is awful.
It's the worst.
And this has happened before. I mean, I've got the longevity view here. I know it. I've been through it before. But it's still hard when you're in the middle of it. And we're right in the middle of it right now,
It's hard
folks.
when you're in the middle of it. And also there is so much public attention on it. When all of your friends are like, oh, hey, did you hear about the thing about Tesla?
Oh, so how's it going with Tesla?
Oh, it's going to be bad, I heard. And it's like, you can't, obviously you can't be like, oh, but didn't you watch CNN the other night and they were positive? Like, no, of course, no news organization is going to be positive on Tesla for multitudes of reasons.
Yeah, no, but you guys are there for us, and we really appreciate it.
Tesla as a company fundamentally is fantastic. And as Elon said, operationally,
yes,
they've gotten through.
Have you noticed the FUD is not focused on how many cars per week anymore, because they're putting them out fast.
Right. If that were still, I mean, I guess it was never an issue, but it's like they can't point to that anymore, so they have to go somewhere else.
We just had an analyst who came out saying basically you toured the factory and said they're on track. They're at 6,000 now. They're on track for going 7, 8, no problems.
Right.
So, yeah.
And these are cars. Like, this is something that I really want to talk about. These are cars that are going out to people, and people love them.
Love them.
I have not met a single person who didn't love the car when they got it.
And then, here's the other thing that really annoys me. There's a tweet this week about the bumper that fell off in New Jersey, right? And then someone else tweeted like, my bumper fell off too. Okay, 2 bumpers.
Right.
First of all, we don't know whether they backed that car into a garage. We don't know if they ripped it off themselves. We don't know if they got in an accident. All we know is this tweet, and all of a sudden the news media picks it up like, bumpers falling off Model 3s.
Right.
First of all, I went out to my Model 3 and I yanked on that bumper for 5 minutes. It didn't budge. So I'm not saying that their bumpers weren't maybe installed incorrectly. The glue was wrong. I don't know. But first of all, it's a bumper. It's not the engine of the car or something like that. And why does that get to be news? If we focus on bumpers of other manufacturers falling off, you wouldn't be able to. There'd be no time in your day because you'd just be hearing about other cars falling apart,
Right.
GMs, Fords. But no, it's just
or engines just blowing up.
Right.
Like there are cars that you know, there are videos of cars driving down the road and then all of a sudden it just goes and just all the windows blow out. The whole thing is on fire. The guy like somehow magically gets out of the car and is okay and is just like looking at his car that is now completely on fire.
Right.
Like cuz it just like there was one leaky gasket thing and all of a sudden poof, you know, like we were talking about with the gas stations.
Yeah.
It's just ridiculous. That the news covers it so unequally and so unfairly. It's just so annoying, and we'll get through it. As soon as Tesla goes private, a lot of this is going to go away because there's going to be nothing to shoot at.
Exactly.
Basically, they won't have anything. And the whole time, in this whole time, as we've been talking, people have been getting their Model 3s.
Yep.
Okay? They've been getting in them for the first time. Their minds have been blown.
Yeah, where have you seen, other than basically our channel, where have you been seeing positive stories about Model 3 owners getting their cars and being blown away?
Right.
I haven't.
It's happening, okay? Because I've met Model 3 owners. I've met many Model 3 owners. We've heard from many Model 3 owners. You'll see in the rest of Tesla Time News, Model 3 owners who are just super excited about their car. They're just putting miles on it. It's just what they've been waiting for their like whole lives, basically. It's just like, finally, I can afford a car that is amazing and perfect in every way. And what this is going to do is it's going to create this cycle, right? Because if you want a Model 3 right now, you have to buy a really expensive one. But most people are going to want to go for the base model. What's happening right now is these cars are going out to these people, and all of their friends are getting to see it probably for the first time. Because let's face it, as soon as you start talking about Tesla, people just immediately bring up whatever is in the Fudder's playbook. They're like, "Oh, I heard that Elon did this or that," and then you're like, "I don't want to freaking talk to you anymore because you suck. I'm done with this conversation. I won't tell you about the amazing things." Or you'll sit down and like throttle them until they finally listen to you. But a physical object, like we are humans, and so these ideas can kind of float above here, but physical objects really resonate with people, and especially the tactile acceleration of Teslas.
And the beauty of it.
Right. You know, getting to walk around the car and be like, oh, this is different than the pictures, because when I move my head, it looks really good. And the tactile feeling of just being like, oh, like people really respond well to that. They're like, oh, I get it now. Like, I get why you would want to buy something like this.
Yep.
It's going to happen, and it's happening right now. People are going for test rides and test drives, and they're experiencing it for the first time.
But you brought up a good point the other day about the year and a half.
It's a cycle.
Right.
People aren't looking to buy cars every day.
No.
Right? So, you know, those people, their next car might be a Model 3. Probably will be, because they're just so damn impressed with it. And at least they're thinking electric. And a lot of the misconceptions get swept to the back of the mind when you've been jolted with that level of acceleration. And that's what's going to happen, is in a year and a half, all of these people who, you know, would have to get on a waiting list right now are going to be able to get their cars within a reasonable amount of time and for a reasonable amount of money. So there's all this demand that is just, they're just sowing seeds. Every Model 3 is a seed that will just reap tons and tons of people who want this car.
It's true. And as Elon said during the MKHB interview, when you love something, then you talk about it. And so at a dinner party or at a friend's house, you're going to talk about your Model 3.
Right. And I've said this 1,000 times at this point. The car is better than anyone ever expected.
Yep.
I
certainly didn't expect it to be this good.
I was expecting like a Leaf with more range.
Right.
And it's not that.
Or a
it's,
Bolt.
It's a race car with great range and great everything.
Right.
I'm telling you guys, it's... And let's also talk about these newer electric vehicles coming online from other manufacturers. They can put out a little, like, "Ooh, check out our car. We got a baby driver to drive our car," or something like that. And you might be like, "Oh, that's interesting." But most people aren't ready to buy a car at that moment. And most manufacturers are not making cars that most people can afford right now. You know, the The Jaguar I-Pace might be great. Maybe it competes with the Model X, but most people are not buying Model X's. Most people are not buying Jaguar I-Paces. Right. You know, even if you're interested in it, even if you're waiting for it, you might not be able to afford it. And so there's this, you know, that cycle. It's going to be further down the line that these people are going to be buying those cars. And by that point, Tesla is going to corner the market. I swear to you. Anyway, thank you so much for letting us ramble on and on. It's nice to be able to talk to people who, you know, are not just some random guy on the internet who's going to be like, hey, I heard this thing, and hey, what's this all about? I like loud cars and booga, you know, like, it's just really nice to have a bunch of people. We can all kind of sit down. It's like if you had put on like a free Broadway performance. Like, I feel like a lot of our YouTube videos are like a free Broadway performance. And so all these crazy people from New York are like, I heard that there was free popcorn. And they walk in and they're like, what's this all about? You know, and it's just nice to be able to like have you guys, you know, you pay $1, which means that we get rid of all of those crazy people who believe all of those crazy, stupid comments. And it's just really nice to be able to be like, we're going to talk to you about this now. We don't have to worry about like, did I say this one thing correctly?
No, they're here for the right reasons.
You're here for the right reasons.
That's right.
Thank you so much for watching. Now you know.